Hi everyone, this is Carrie Ramsey from Hello Boss Girl, and today I'm going to share with you a market fresh idea to help you connect better with your audience. And so we know that in today's marketplace, our audience wants to be heard as much as they want to be talked to. In fact, maybe more so. So, a lot of businesses today realize the value of using surveys to get data about who their audience is and what their audience wants, just to make sure that they're serving them to the best of their abilities. So SurveyMonkey is a great tool to use to do that. Great news is it's free. There are some paid features, but frankly, at Hello Boss Girl, we use this tool all the time, and we've never paid for any of the extra features. So I think that you can do a great job and get great success simply by using the free version. So I'm going to show you an example of a survey that we put out recently. This is our Getting to Know You survey. And of course, one of the benefits of distributing a survey is getting to know your audience better. So you can see that we have got a variety of questions here. Uh, there's some sliding scales, there's some open-ended questions, and that is one of the tips that I would definitely have as you're creating a survey, is that you create different types of questions. And we'll show you that SurveyMonkey allows you to do that and helps you along. So that's an example of what it would look like. Let's go in and create a survey. So we're going to log in. Of course, we've already signed up, and we're going to head to the dashboard's white button here that says Create Survey. So let's take a look at our options. First of all, you can create a survey from scratch, which we are going to do today in just a moment. You can actually copy an existing survey. So the reason you would do this is, let's say you want to benchmark. For instance, last July, maybe you did the same survey, and now you want to do the same survey a year later and compare the results, and hopefully those results have improved. So that's important if you want to benchmark. There's also some templates that are available to you for free down here. I'll click on one to show you. These are useful, I suppose, if you've never created a survey before. However, they're very generic in their questions. So you can tweak them a little bit by hovering. You bring up the green edit button, and you can make like a 1 or 2 word change. But really, for Hello Boss Girl, this template doesn't work because it's a little bit um, too much inside the box, right? So again, though, if it's your first time and you're more comfortable starting with a template, then take a look at the types down here and see if there's something that works for you. We're going to start from scratch, and we are going to go ahead and create our survey. Let's just call it a tutorial. Oh my gosh, I can't spell today. Survey. All right, and the survey category is that, let's just call it customer feedback. Maybe your questions are already written. You can import those if so, but for today, we're just going to go ahead and click Create Survey. All right, so we have um, gotten into the nuts and the bolts here. It actually gives you this prompt to start asking your first question, and I would spend some time to think about what questions specifically would be useful to you. Most people aren't excited about filling out surveys at all. And so if you are doing a survey, you want to make sure there's value in it. And so at Hello Boss Girl, for instance, when we say we want to get to know you, why? Because we want to serve you better. Well, then there's something in it for your audience, and there's a bit of an incentive, right? So think about specific questions that truly hold value, not just for you, but for your audience. All right, so let's give an example of a question here. Let's say we want to ask just a basic question about, how long have you been in business? SurveyMonkey immediately reads that question, and it says, hey, she's asking a multiple choice question. And in fact, that's correct. So it's pretty smart. And it gives me the options down here to start filling out. Now, let's say they were wrong, and machines can be wrong. I could actually override that and choose one of the other types of questions that I want to ask. But in fact, in this case, it is a multiple choice question. So I'm going to put in my answers. Let's say I want to say 0 to 1, 2 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, and then more than 10. Now you want to be consistent in your answers. Also, you want to make sure they don't overlap. So here I put 0 to 1. So here I wouldn't put 1 to 2, because that would mean 1 would appear in 2 answers, and that would be a flawed survey question. So make sure that make sure your questions are correct before you put them out there. So once I decide that, if I want to add answers, by the way, I can click on this plus button, or if I want to erase, I just use this minus button. But let's say I want to save it because I'm happy with that question. So there we go. We could take a look at it. That's how it's going to appear for our respondents. That's a multiple choice question. I also want to demonstrate how to do a question that would be more open-ended. What's your, I'm going too fast here, you can tell. What's your favorite thing about owning your own business? So that's an open-ended question, and SurveyMonkey actually senses that and gives me a comment box suggestion for this response, and that's what I want. So I'm going to put save, and we're ready to go. So we have in multiple choice, we have a comment, and again, as you proceed, up to 10 questions are free. You can include different types of questions. Every question doesn't have to be a different type, but just make sure that you're not asking all open-ended questions, for instance, because that would take longer to do. The general time that people would spend on a survey would be about 5 minutes. You don't want to go over that because then they're just going to bail and they're not going to finish it and you've lost all that data. So really choose how many questions you think you need. Maybe it's just one question. Maybe it's 5 or the maximum of 10 for the free plan. Decide that and go from there. Now our survey right now looks a little bit bland. It's kind of black and white. So I can go over to the appearance button here, which is the paintbrush, and I could actually choose a theme for the background of my survey, which makes it a little bit more interesting perhaps. However, with the free plan, you are very limited in the number of themes you can choose from. I think there's maybe 10. So just keep that in mind, that that's one of the downsides of having the free plan. However, that has never stopped us from getting great results from our surveys. So don't be too worried about that. Unless you're, very much into design, then you can go ahead and pay for the feature. So once we have chosen a background that we're happy with, we're going to proceed to the next button here. So you can see we're in design survey mode. We're now going to click on preview and score. And that is going to take us to preview our survey. We can actually score it by interacting with our survey and making sure it works and seeing what the experience would be for, the user. When I'm done, I click done and it shows me that's the end of the preview. So really that's all the preview is about. If I noticed an error in the preview, I can go back to design survey and I can then hover over the question and I can make an edit. So at any time before you publish or share, you can actually go in and change. So we've previewed and scored. Now we're going to jump over to collect responses, because it's important that not only we have a great survey, but also that we get those surveys out to our audience. So there's a number of ways that you can distribute your survey. Sending by email is one of those options. So if you have an email list, for instance, or a number of people you want to send it to, you can put them right in here. You can customize your subject line, and you can see that it actually embeds the survey into that email. So that's nice and tidy. With the free version, of course, the SurveyMonkey logo will be on it. If you don't want that, you'll have to get the paid version, and you can put your own logo on it. We actually tend, though, to use the web link. So I often will go in and click on this, and then I copy that web link, and then I will actually embed that in, for instance, my weekly e-zine or in social media, my website, wherever, so that we can, just send that to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, not just email or not just social media. So that's something that I like to do. You can also download for free a QR code, which is kind of neat. Some of you might like QR codes, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you what it looks like right now. A QR code is something you've probably seen before, and it actually now would allow me, if I were to scan my phone over this, it would actually take me to the survey. So that's pretty cool. So what would you do with this QR code? Well, you could save it by going here and saving it as a JPEG or some other file. You could actually put it on your website, or you could put it in a printed material like a poster or an event program, and or a postcard that you send in the mail that says, hey, we'd love your feedback, and then you would include the QR code and they just scan it and they do your survey. So it's a different option. Some of you are QR code queens, I'm sure, and you love that, and that's just to show you that with SurveyMonkey you can grab for free a QR code. All right, so now we've decided how we're going to distribute, and there's different options. You can go through those. I've just showed you the two most popular ones. And then the last, let's say at this point you've actually sent out the survey. Well, now SurveyMonkey will start to notify you when you get responses. It will say for sure when you get your first response, and then after a while, if you haven't checked your analytics, it'll say, hey, you've got some responses sitting there. You want to take a look? And of course you do. You want to go and analyze that. So I'm going to show you the analytics page for our Idea Lounge feedback survey. I can't do an analytics, of course, of the survey we just created because we didn't send it to anyone, but I can show you this. So right away, it tells me how many responses I've had to the survey. And in fact, I sent this to 50 people. So this is almost a 50% response rate, which is actually super high. The average response rate for a survey is 10 to 15%. So for those of you who have sent out a survey before and then beat yourself up because only 20 or 25% respond, that's actually above the average. So that's good to keep in mind what the average benchmark is. So when we got almost 50% response to this survey, we were super happy with that because we know that we're getting authentic data. So there are questions we've asked, and I just actually want to show you this one in particular because it shows you how you can display the results. So SurveyMonkey is then tabulating the results for you. That's what's happening, which is very useful. I can click on this bar graph and actually change it into any type of graph that I want. Maybe for instance, I want to import it into a presentation to show my team, or I want to put it in a report. It actually allows you to grab those graphics and to import those. Now, in the free version, I'm not sure you can actually do that, but what I can do, you can get around that, right? We use Snagit, for instance. You could just go grab the image. And so you can do what you like, however you want to grab that. So that's a way that you can look at your analytics, and question by question, you can go through and analyze how people responded. That's the summary view. You can also go into the individual response view where you can actually read survey by survey what the response was for instance, respondent number 1, etc. We tend to like the summaries. All right, so those are just some easy tips, I think, on how to create your survey account and how to start asking questions, how to distribute those questions, and then to take a look at the results. I know it's just scratching the surface, but I hope that you'll get on there and that you'll start to play with it and find what works for you, because it really is valuable to listen to our audience. So I hope that today's tutorial has added some value to you as a listener and helps to keep your business fresh. Have a wonderful day, Boss Girls. Take care.